Go for live. There we go. Is that it? Gotta get that up. There we go.
I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"
Much of what you see and hear on the following program may be shocking and upsetting to you. But if you will listen calmly and with an open mind, you may discover the key to the peace of mind and joy for which you've been searching all of your life.
And so what Donald Trump is saying, look, his best answer is, I want to bring jobs. Let me do it for you. Best debate line, Democrats care about the inner city when it's election time. After election time, what do you get? Zero. What was her response? Quiet. Why? Because that is the truth. He told the unadulterated truth. And even though people don't want to hear the truth is bitter, but we have to swallow it. The Democratic Party, I voted for over 20 years of my life. I voted for Barack Obama when he said he was going to bring hope and change. And yes, we can. And no, we didn't. The jobs didn't come. The better schools didn't come. The investment in our communities did not come. National security, our borders are open. We're not safe. We're not safe. And we've got to stop thinking as black and white and purple and Arab. We've got to start thinking as Americans. And that's what Donald Trump is saying. We're Americans. America first.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Smith Radio. Your host, Brian Smith. Staying up all night last night, getting all the breaking news and the details and the information you need to know. Setting you up so when you get ready to get heading into work this morning, if you want to listen to us on iHeartRadio, just type into your cell phone, iHeart.smithradio.com, SMYTH, and you can listen to us on all our shows. For the last 3 years, you can listen to every single one of them. You get all the details and the updates, basically a history lesson of the last year and a half of this election, which was just absolutely phenomenal. I'm still pinching myself. I mean, we're still 4 weeks out, and I'm still pinching myself that Trump won. It's emotional. It's good. It's great. It's awesome. The Democrats are losing it. They are absolutely losing it. And every time I hear this,
right now, a historic moment. We can now project the winner of the presidential race. CNN projects Donald Trump wins the presidency. The business tycoon and TV personality capping his improbable political journey with an astounding upset victory. Donald J. Trump will become the 45th president of the United States, defeating Hillary Clinton in a campaign unlike anything we've seen in our lifetime.
We will be talking about this election our entire life. 40 years from now, when I'm an old man with a cane and I can barely walk, I'll be talking to my grandchildren about this election, or great-grandchildren about this election, and the fact that we were involved in this election, so deeply involved, so rooted, because we knew how much was at stake. It literally, we knew how much was at stake. And now that Trump is president, it's official, it's been confirmed, Trump is president. The left is still, you would think they would get in line. And a lot of the smart individuals are getting in line that know better, that know that there's absolutely nothing they can do about it. They are getting in line. However, we're having some issues with some fringe lunatic nut jobs. Some of those, the Michael Moores and the, what is that? Lena Dunham. Wow. This chick has gone straight off the rails. She posted on Twitter last night, "I've never had an abortion, but I really wish I could have one. I really need to experience that, to go through that struggle." What? Yeah, this woman is getting so blasted on Twitter for this. She even got blasted by Piers Morgan, who is an English Brit that was on CNN or MSNBC. MSNBC had his own show, and was kicked off his show because he was such a psychopath. Yet he blasted her for that. Quite nuts, quite insane. So I'm going to talk about a couple of things this morning. Going to kind of wrap it up, make it real quick. We are right in the middle, and there's no question about it. I'm not trying to be the bearer of bad news, but we are in the Christmas season. This is a Christian holiday celebrating the birth of our Savior and Lord Jesus Christ, who we pray to for guidance, security, comfort, and certainly to help our leadership and guide our country in the right direction, because we know we're so far off the rails. We're in the wrong direction. We know we are. A lot of leaders, Christian leaders, are saying that God answered prayers with Donald J. Trump's historic win. We knew it was going to be a landslide because of the, as Dinesh D'Souza put it, the mainstream media dragging this crooked hag across the finish line. It's got to be the greatest line of all time. But we know that God answered our prayers because we did, even as a family. You may think it's kind of silly, but as a family, over dinner, we pray every time we get together and eat with my wife and daughters, my son, and during the election and the run up to the election, we openly prayed for Donald Trump. There's no question about it. We openly prayed. That's how passionate we got about this election, knowing that we had to win. But I digress. This is the Christmas season. This is about the birth of Jesus Christ, and the enemy is out there. The enemy is out there looking to kill and to slaughter. Here's a sound clip. This is Dr. Sebastian Gorka, very, very strong, very intelligent individual. He's on Fox and Friends. And this, if you have a concealed carry permit to carry a handgun, I highly suggest you do at all times. The Russian ambassador that was shot literally point blank, the photographer, the journalist in the front row who caught the picture, who took the picture and videotaped it, wasn't even supposed to be there. He penned a letter yesterday, and it was pretty emotional. But his whole point was, if I can shoot him with my camera, he can shoot me with a gun. But I still got to make that attempt to film it, to capture it, and he did. San Bernardino, Orlando, Florida. It's all over America as well. Don't think that it's not. In Germany, being overrun by all these terrorists. I'm just telling you right now, if you are in a situation, this was at an art gallery. An ambassador from Russia speaking in Turkey at an art gallery. Is it, you wouldn't, I don't know. You could be anywhere. I'm just saying, holiday season, maybe you can save a life. If you have a concealed permit, carry your gun. If you don't, carry it out in the open carry law. Check your state laws. I know state of California has not just, but back when I lived there, I think it was back in 2010, when I'm not sure when crazy communist Jerry Brown was reelected. Jerry Brown was governor in California back in the 70s, got removed, and then attempted to come back again in the 2000s and pulled it off. What a shame. It's just an absolute shame. One of his first and early executive order, or his pushes, was to ban open carry in California. Most people didn't even know that you could walk around open carry in the entire state of California all up until 2012. Nobody knew that because they didn't want you to know it. And now you've got chaos. And apparently there's a report that came out, I think this is Fox News, came out yesterday, saying that gun sales in the state of California are skyrocketing through the roof because of new legislation coming down. So on that, on Second Amendment, on the gun issue, Democrats don't realize that it is a double-edged sword when they push their agenda and shove it down our throat. Thank you, Obama, with gay marriage. Here on Smith Radio, we refer to it as garage because marriage has a definition already. We need to give them a new word because they have a new definition, garage. So because they jammed garage down our throat and forced, the Supreme Court said that if one state recognizes it, all states must recognize garage. Now, why did I bring this up? I bring this up because that also applies to the Second Amendment. If the state of Ohio recognizes that you are allowed to open carry, all states must recognize this. This is something that was brought up by Alan West almost immediately after garage was passed by the Supreme Court, pretty much illegally, by redefining terms, redefining words, creating new definitions, and rewriting law, which is not their job. Okay, so anyway, so Colonel Alan West had brought this up right away, and it hasn't, I don't know if it's gotten traction, but I haven't really heard many people talk about it. I try and talk about it as much as I possibly can, but technically, sooner or later, if Trump does go ahead with what he said he was going to do, is he even made the comment that it should be open carry everywhere, completely across the board, every state, everywhere should be open carry. Otherwise, it's a violation of the Second Amendment. I'm not sure about concealed carry. However, if you're in the state of Florida and concealed carry means you pay a fee and you get a license, concealed carry, that should be exactly the same thing in every state. I was told that if you live in the state of Indiana, pretty much you fill out paperwork and pay a fee. That's pretty much how that goes. Ohio's a little bit more intense. Ohio is a 3-day, 8-hour day, 10-hour day ordeal. It's a pretty intense course, a couple $100. And then after that, then you got to make an appointment with the sheriff's department and get an interview type of situation, fingerprinted, the whole 9 yards. It goes on and on. And then you have to renew and pay that every year. So you got different rules and different regulations in different states, all based on a constitutional amendment that's nationwide. So why would the rules on that amendment be different in every state and every city? It shouldn't be. Anyways, I digress. Let's get back to Dr. Sebastian Gorka. And I'm talking about Christmas, Christians celebrating the birth of Christ. A lot of happy times. A lot of people spending time with family, loved ones, enjoying the holidays, and really making that connection once again. The love, the emotions that you have with your family and your friends and your children. The evil wants to remove that, the dark side. The dark side wants to get rid of that. They cannot stand for one split second that you have a happy moment or a happy time because they were born into a world of terror, I guess, and they must spread that. So here's Dr. Sebastian Gork on Fox and Friends, and here's his message to America, to the world, during this upcoming holiday. It's a 2-minute clip, but you need to listen to it, folks.
Last night on Brett's show, the front line in this war is when you leave the house in the morning, whether you're going to a Christmas party in San Bernardino, whether you're going to a Christmas festival in Germany, or whether you're going to a Marine Corps fun run in New Jersey. This isn't World War I, this isn't World War II, it's not far away, it's not some trench in the middle of nowhere. It is right here in America and in Europe, and all Americans need to be aware. This season, especially the Christmas season, is incredibly attractive to the jihadis. So everybody has to have their head on a swivel.
Yeah. Are they targeting Christians?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, the magazine of...
I can't even hold on. Stop, Mr. Producer. Hit the pause. I cannot believe she just asked that. Unless that was just a softball leading question, I'm just shocked. are they targeting Christians?
This is Dabiq, D-A-B-I-Q, had a recent issue. The front cover was a photograph of a jihadi, an ISIS jihadi, on the roof of a church in the Middle East, tearing down the cross on that church, and the title of that issue was Break the Cross. When we invaded Iraq in 2003, there were 1.4 million Christians in Iraq. Today, with the declaration of the Islamic State and the rise of ISIS, there are less than 200,000.
1.4 million Christians in Iraq. Now, 200,000. I would have to say that this is a holocaust, if you will, of grand proportions against Christians. Non-violent, innocent people who wish to worship a peaceful God, a Christ, to worship Christ.
Christians left. Absolutely, Ainsley. They are targeting Christians in the Middle East, in America, and in Europe.
Okay. Do you find, as I hold up the cover of the New York Post, where yesterday this off-duty cop in Turkey shot the Russian ambassador in the back, he was standing behind him live on television. Everybody thought he was part of his security detail. Turns out he did have a badge and a gun, and he took that moment to kill the ambassador and then shout, Allahu Akbar, we die in Aleppo, you die here. Do you see these things connected in any way?
Okay,
absolutely.
Hit the pause.
So,
hit the pause.
Steve.
Okay. Hit the pause. Real quick, that jihadist, terrorist, ISIS sympathizer, whether he was trained there or not, regardless, he screamed, you die here, we die in Aleppo. Okay, he is now confirmed, and ISIS has claimed responsibility for him and this murder of the Russian ambassador. And I talked about this yesterday on yesterday's show. There is a clear line drawn in the sand. Jihadist, Al-Qaeda, Islam, Muslim, ISIS, what were they calling them? Freedom fighters, anti-Syrian army, whatever it is. Anybody right now, any group, faction, Saudi Arabia right now, attempting to murder and kill anyone in Aleppo, civilian or military, anyone who is against Syria, attempting to kill and overthrow the government of Syria, democratically elected government of Syria, is on the side of the terrorist. He just confirmed that. We die in Aleppo, you die here.
This idea, there's this phrase that floats around D.C. called lone wolf terrorism. I completely reject it. Lone wolf is a concept designed to make Americans stupid. There is no such thing as lone wolf terrorism. Whether you're the Tsarnaev brothers in Boston, the 9/11 hijackers, this police officer in Turkey, they are all connected, and the connective tissue is the ideology of jihadism. We have to understand, people aren't...
Okay, so he's talking about, I didn't realize that clip ended so soon. So he's talking about ISIS jihadists, and we're discussing how critical this is in this time of the year, this Christian celebration time of the year. If you want to look back at Ramadan, sometime during the summer, it was an entire month for Islam to literally kill as much as they possibly could during an entire month. It was like purge for a month for Islam. Ramadan. Look it up. Can't eat or drink, can't do anything during daylight hours. So if you accuse your wife or somebody accuses somebody, or if you're feeling guilty and you project because you were eating a cheeseburger, you're projecting it out on somebody else so that they don't look at you, you go ahead and kill them for eating during Ramadan. Children being beaten and tortured for sneaking crackers during Ramadan. Glad I don't belong to that religion. Okay, so this shooting, I just want to relate something, and I'm going out on a limb here. I mean, a lot of people like to refer back to history. Let me just say that World War I, way back in the day, World War I, Archduke Ferdinand and his wife, the Duchess Oldenburg, were assassinated by a Serbian nationalist on June 28th, 1914. I bring that up because that's where everybody points back to the beginning of World War I and what caused World War I. Archduke Franz Ferdinand, assassination. And sides aligned with Serbia and sides aligned with Archduke Ferdinand. And all these treaties that were in place, and people realized, oh, geez. Okay, well, we got to stand up for our side because we got this treaty, and the other side's like, well, we got to stand up for our side because we got this treaty, and literally World War I was the catalyst of that. Just looking at this assassination of this Russian ambassador, it was cold, calculated, in the back, screaming. The guys, the Muslim screaming, "We die in Aleppo, you die here." Okay, the battle line is Aleppo. The battle line is right there. Terrorist attack or not, this was an act of war. World War III, it literally, in the minds of Muslims, in the minds of Saudi Arabia, in the minds of ISIS, we are in the throes, the very throes of World War III. There's no question about it. And this Archduke Ferdinand moment, if you will, I mean, there may have been other moments that may correlate a little bit better, but this to me is absolutely obvious that Trump is going to align with Russia. And when I say align with Russia, I'm saying get along with Russia, work with Russia on squashing this terrorism, the terror that is wreaking havoc amongst civilians. Archduke Ferdinand moment could very well possibly be. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. So, Aleppo. Let's get to Aleppo real quick. Remember yesterday I was talking about Aleppo, and during a UN conference, there was a woman who was asked a question by a very smart, smug news reporter who was just really arrogant. I'm going to just play a few seconds of that real quick just to kind of refresh your memory of Aleppo and what's fact and what's not fact, fake news and real news, media fake news, people on the ground real news, Smith Radio real news. So here's the media conference on Aleppo.
When you talk about the Syrian people and what the Syrian people want, how can you quantify that? Do you have any independent surveys? When you talk about the Syrian people and what the Syrian people want, how can you quantify that? Do you have any independent surveys where you can actually document that? And secondly, you talk about the corporate media, the Western media, the lies, and all of this. Could you explain what you think might be the agenda from us in the Western media, and why we should lie, why the international organizations on the ground should lie, why we shouldn't believe all these absolutely documentable facts that we see from the ground, these hospitals being bombed, these civilians who are talking about the atrocities that they have been experiencing. How can you justify calling all of us liars?
He said absolute facts documented on the ground. Remember that. Facts documented on the ground. Why would you call me a liar if I have pictures of and facts documented on the ground? You call me a liar? Why? Why say you?
Thank you.
I mean, there are certainly honest journalists amongst the very compromised establishment media. Let's start with your second question. So, international organizations on the ground. Tell me which ones are on the ground in eastern Aleppo. Yeah, okay, I'll tell you, there are none.
Okay, I'll tell you, there are none. And that is true. This woman just absolutely destroys and obliterates this cartoon who refers to himself as a journalist. Okay, we got breaking news, folks. This is why I stayed up all night for you. Aleppo news, breaking news, Egypt. 5 people in port said allegedly making fake videos purporting to show the wreckage of airstrikes in Syrian city of Aleppo have been arrested. The Egyptian Interior Ministry has said the videographer, his assistant, and the parents of 2 children who appeared in the footage were detained after police managed to trail the would-be camera crew to a building site awaiting demolition. So there was a building that was getting ready to be demolished, and that's where the camera crew was headed. A statement on Monday said the team reportedly admitted that they had planned to distribute their work on social media, pretending it showed scenes of the injured and destruction of Aleppo, the embattled northern Syrian city, which has just fallen back under government control. After 4 years of fighting between the regime and Sunni rebels, according to the independent.co.uk. So Syria has gained control of Aleppo once again, their own city. Do you know who is fighting to remove power from the Syrian government of their own city? Barack Hussein Obama. Yes, he would love to overthrow the entire government, the entire country, and turn it into another waste hole and go ahead and give it to Saudi Arabia, give it to ISIS, and let them continue on with their caliphate to take over the entire Middle East, move to Europe, and then to the West, so that they can have the entire world. Okay. Article went on to say it was not immediately clear what charges had been brought, or if any had been brought against the 5. The Independent has contacted the Egyptian authorities for clarification. In the distinctly amateur raw videos and still photos released by the Interior Ministry, an 8-year-old girl wears a white dress with bandages covered in red stains and holds a teddy bear. And I saw this. The teddy bear is all painted up with red paint. A 12-year-old boy is also interviewed about what life is like under the intense pressure of the Russian-backed Syrian government airstrikes. The girl's dress covered in red paint was what caught the attention of the police officer driving by. The ministry said so. The cop was just driving by, and he saw a little girl in a white dress covered in what might have looked like blood. So that's why I stopped. Oh, folks, I'm telling you, this is the fake news I'm telling you about. That's why you got to listen to Smith Radio. You got to share Smith Radio with your friends and your family. Listen to us every single morning. You find us, like I said again, if you like to listen to iHeartRadio, you can go to iHeart.com. You go iHeart.smithradio.com. And that'll be a quick link right there. Go to our website, smithradio.com. You can catch the Breitbart blog, Drudge blog, as well as all our shows, live shows. Everything's all there. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Like our stuff, share our stuff. That'd be the greatest compliment. I mean, we do this all for free. This is all out of our own pockets. So if you could share this and just a quick comment, hey man, this is a great show. I love the show. Y'all listen to it. Just share it. Doesn't cost you anything, and it helps us. Greatly appreciate it. This is real news, not fake news. We're exposing the fake news. So that's Aleppo, and that's what's going on. That's what's going on with Syrian government backed by Russia. The The other side, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, backed by Saudi Arabia and Barack Obama. Do not want to be on the Barack Obama side. Definitely do not. And I've got, it's on this video clip here. And here's, again, I love this guy. Paul Joseph Watson. Follow him on, if you're on Twitter, you follow him at Prison Planet. Just phenomenal. Great guy on Infowars.com. And here's his take. He does these few minutes, like 4 or 5, sometimes 8-minute rants on topics of the day. And this is the multicultural enrichment rant that he has on Germany. Right after this, we're going to touch on a couple other things, and then we'll wrap it up.
Hey Germany, so how's that cultural enrichment working out for you? Since Germany opened its borders to cultural enrichment, there have been an extra 402,000 crimes committed by migrants. Illegal immigrants and asylum seekers are vastly overrepresented in every sector of crime. Oh, but that's just right-wing propaganda. Who believes any of that stuff anyway? Oh no, it's actually the government's own statistics.
Ich bin hier fast 39 Jahre. Diese Ausländer, weil sie jetzt kommen, diese vor 3 Jahren oder 2 Jahren, so viel Scheiße gemacht hier in Deutschland.
19-year-old German refugee activist Maria Laudenberger was raped, murdered and dumped in a river in Freiburg by an Afghan refugee. An Iraqi refugee also raped 2 Chinese students in Bochum. A 19-year-old migrant raped a 90-year-old woman as she was leaving a church in downtown Dusseldorf. 2 migrants raped a 23-year-old woman in Lüneburg as she was walking in a park with her young child. A 16-year-old girl was gang-raped in a park in Hamburg. Her attackers got off with suspended sentences. Girls as young as 9 were molested by migrants at a swimming pool in Berlin. 4 women were sexually assaulted by migrants at a party in Essen. One resident of Essen told a live televised town hall meeting, "I was born here and I do not feel safe anymore." Migrants who previously bombed a Sikh temple planned to kill kindergarteners with poisoned ice cream before blowing up a school in Essen. A soldier of the Islamic State was responsible for a knife-wielding rampage through Hamburg in which 2 teenagers were attacked and 1 killed. A couple of weeks ago, a Syrian refugee was arrested in Stuttgart with bomb materials plotting an ISIS attack. The mayor of a picturesque German ski town is begging for help to tackle an explosive refugee crime wave. I could go on. This is all just in the last 6 weeks.
Ich bin auch Ausländer. Katastrophe. Flüchtlinge. Weg.
And what does the German government have to say about all this?
Vice-Chancellor Sigmar Gabriel has warned Germans via social media not to exploit the crime for incitement and conspiracy propaganda.
So there's a migrant crime explosion. People are being raped and killed. And migrants are being arrested for plotting massive terror attacks. And your main concern is mean tweets and Facebook posts. Facebook banned a German woman for posting a picture of the rapist murderer. They said it was hate speech to post a photograph of the killer that had already been published by the media. Remember, it was Facebook and the German government who announced last year that they were working with an ex-Stasi official to hunt down people who make xenophobic comments about the migrant crisis. Apparently, German citizens should be following the lead of the German media, who dutifully followed orders to cover up the mass molestation of women in Cologne on New Year's Eve. One of Germany's biggest news shows refused to cover the rape and murder of Maria Laudenberger, insisting that it was just a local news story, after the story had already made global headlines. But we really should just shut up about all this, because it might radicalise the middle class, and God forbid people might start to get angry about their daughters being raped. And we can't allow that. Oh, and don't you dare fly that German flag in Germany, because it might offend somebody.
It's saying, please take that flag down. You're offending us. You're provoking us.
While migrants march through German streets in huge mobs. But hey, the government has some German chick dancing around in a commercial wearing a hijab, telling everyone to get used to it.
Enjoy difference.
And she's blonde. She's blonde.
That's the solution, right? Just cover up and maybe you won't get raped. Just keep the rapist at arm's length. Or even better, use the force. I mean, it's not like you imported a culture that has something that's literally called The rape game. Maybe Germany can follow Italy's lead and just force people to hand over their property to migrants. After all, we don't want to offend them. German President Joachim Gauck said he believed that Germany will eventually have a Muslim president. Maybe that will keep them happy. Green Party politician Volker Beck said Germans need to learn Arabic and that migrants shouldn't have to speak German. And that makes sense, because as Green Party politician Stephanie von Berg celebrated, Germans will be a minority in their own cities within 30 years. And that's a good thing.
Ich sage Ihnen noch ganz deutlich, gerade hier in Richtung rechts, das ist gut so.
Shops in Germany are removing Christmas items from their shelves because we don't want to trigger anyone.
Ich bin 20 Jahre hier im Markt. War die früher gute Leute, die kaufen hier. Aber jetzt kauft keiner. Deutsche ist Umzug gemacht hier. Alle Flüchtlinge, Ausländer here.
After all, they burned down their own migrant centre because there wasn't enough Nutella. We don't want to upset them. And don't worry about all those rapes and molestations because taxpayers are funding a new police operation to keep everyone safe in Cologne on New Year's Eve this time around. Teams of specially trained officers to handle sexual assault victims. Right, so you're not actually going to try to prevent sexual assaults. You're just going to have a chat with the victims afterwards. Great! But Angela Merkel is on top of things. I mean, she's not going to do anything to stop 1 million mostly male migrants from pouring in every year, but she might ask some of the women to refrain from wearing burqas in certain public places at certain times. Thanks, Angela! And anyway, who am I to criticise? I mean, Merkel enjoys widespread support. 55% of Germans say they will vote for her again in the next election, ensuring Germany will continue to reap the benefits of cultural enrichment for many years to come.
Now you can see why I love to listen to this guy. He's absolutely incredible. Paul Joseph Watson, Prison Planet. I couldn't have said it any better than that. That wraps up all of Germany, their insane situation. Not only that, but you heard what he said. 55% of the people are willing to vote for her again. Well, you get what you get. Germany, you get exactly what you get when you can't even open up your own eyes. Hopefully here in America, we can do a little bit better, and prepare ourselves and make sure that we're on top of things. Here's Lou Dobbs real quick. Play Lou Dobbs segment. I love listening to Lou Dobbs and Varney and Company as well. But here's Lou on Angela Merkel.
A few thoughts now on German Chancellor Angela Merkel, who has staked out a place on the wrong side of history, a tragic place, just like her fellow neo-left, open-border globalist President Obama. Merkel insisted on bringing 1 million Syrian refugees and illegal immigrants into the Republic of Germany, into Europe. No vetting, no economic or social impact statement from the government, and all hell has broken loose in Germany and much of Europe. The Islamic State has claimed responsibility for the latest terrorist attack in Berlin, and Berlin is the latest target in what has been a deadly wave of radical Islamist terror in Europe over this past year. One German party leader declared, "These are Merkel's dead." A member of Merkel's Christian Democratic Party admitted, quote, "We must state that we are in a state of war."
Yeah, no, absolutely. We are in a state of war, and they're saying it. Rational people will always be attacked and maligned. Remember that. If you're a rational, sensible person, you will be maligned. You'll be, people will call you names. They will attack you because that's what crazy people do. They're jealous of the fact that you're sane and sensible. Why do you think they're going after Trump so hard? Because he's a very sane and sensible man. You don't get that from sensible people, if you will. Anyways. Okay, so Germany is really taking a hit. Germany's in a bad situation. Let's see what else we got on Germany. they're on the verge of complete civil war. They've got millions of these refugees who are literally running the streets and wreaking havoc. They have no idea what these people are going to do. Literally, minimal guns, minimal protection. By the way, CNN called that the terrorist that drove the lorry, the truck, through the Christmas market, if you will, killing dozens of innocent Christians attempting to celebrate the birth of Christ. CNN referred to it as a bus crash. So, right. Okay. Fake news, anyone? That's it. Another one that got to subscribe to. If you're on Twitter, it's at ACT Bridget, Brigitte. Bridget is a phenomenal woman. We've played a lot of her sound bites here before on the show. She was on Fox News, and here's what she had to say. She said the German government can no longer hide that this is actually driven by Islamic refugees that they have personally imported into the country. It's a fact. Every single one of these terror incidents, the murders, the rapes, the pillaging, is every single one of them refugees that they are allowing to just flow over the border. Just here recently, not to scare anybody, but I just want to warn you. I want to give you a heads up. They're saying the ICE, Immigration Customs Enforcement on the border of America and the United States and Mexico, they said that the flood gates have been opened up, and there was a surge of 1,500 immigrants within just a couple of days coming across our border. They're here. I'm not joking. They're here. They're here to the tune of thousands and thousands. Some organizations and groups are already asking Trump to release the information of where Obama has resettled these refugees in America. We'd like to know what cities he's resettled them in, where the demographics are, where we can protect ourselves. There's places here in Ohio, cities in Ohio, where they've resettled complete towns of 300-400 people are now 1,000 refugees settled there. Yeah, their culture completely turned upside down. How is that right? How is that fair? It's not. ISIS websites promote using trucks, knives, guns, anything to cause terror, wreak havoc. That is what they do. They say it on their website. They say it in their magazines. They teach Muslims, very good Muslims who obey the Quran, that we have an agenda here. We are on a jihad to take over the globe. That's a fact. Christians are not of the globe. We are of another world, of another kind. We are just Christians. We are just passing through, attempting to pick up anybody we can to take them along with us to the pearly gates, to heaven, where paradise awaits us, because we are good souled individuals with a belief in Jesus Christ. They want the earth. The Bible tells you who has the earth. The ones whose souls are dedicated to the earth, that's the dark side, folks. That's who they are. They're telling you, listen to their words, and they'll tell you exactly who they are. Real quick on the whole Turkey thing again. What do we got on Turkey? Last year, well, not last year, 6 months ago, back in July, on the 15th of July, we did our radio show on the 17th, which was on a Sunday night. The 15th of July was a Friday. On Friday, it was breaking news worldwide on the internet. Well, pretty much on the internet, but worldwide on the internet, and we were glued. I was glued to the information. I couldn't get enough of it. And maybe you remember, maybe you don't remember. If you don't remember, please go back to our show. July 17th, 2016. Go back to that show, reference that show. It was a great show. We discussed and we talked about a full-blown, flesh and blood coup d'etat. It was an official coup, a violent battle coup. Generals in the military and certain media officials that were working with them and whatnot, as well as military troops in Turkey, attempting an overnight coup. And it was it ended quick. It went down Friday on the 15th of July. In Turkey, and this is how Wikipedia has it set up. It says, in Turkey, against state institutions, including but not limited to the government and President Erdogan. The attempt was carried out by a fraction within the Turkish armed forces that organized themselves as the Peace at Home Council. They came out and they made public statements saying that we are losing our freedom in Turkey. This is our last stand. We will give our lives for this freedom. They did die. And within days, Erdogan rounded up the usual suspects and started to jail, prison, kill, and just started going all out. Erdogan is so close to what would be Saudi Arabia. And he's pushing more and more for that, to where they have a full-fledged, full-on Sharia-compliant government, Sharia law, just all-out, complete control of the people through brainwashing of a cult that is the government. The government is the cult. Kind of like Scientology, if you will, that seems to be falling wayside. Scientology, a cult proposed as a religion, a cult to get people to believe something. Well, this is the government that is getting these people to believe that that Islam is the only way of life. And if you do not practice Islam, we will take your life. So if I put a gun to your head and I tell you, give me your first child or I will kill you, what do? I mean, that's a hard one. How about I put a gun to your head and I say, denounce Jesus Christ and follow our religion called Islam, which would be Satan, or I'll kill you. Well, they did do that. They went to one of the colleges, and they don't want to talk about these stories much anymore, but they went to the college, and the jihadist got in front of the class and asked if anybody was Christian. The first one stood up and said, I'm a Christian, and he shot him in the head. And I'm going to tell you right now, the most bravest soul in the world in that room at that time, not the first person, but the second person to admit that he was a Christian. I pray to God that I have the strength when and if that day comes. However, I digress. This is what we're up against. So Turkey in the last throes of a possible saving their own country, their own freedom, failed. The coup failed, and the government put a crunch down on them. So it's unfortunate. Turkey, Germany, Venezuela. Venezuela is in the news. These are all, I'm talking to you all about these either Democrat, Socialist, Communist, Islamist. Communist and Islam, very, very, very similar governments. Communism, the belief and the practice of the belief in the religion of the government. You don't have to have a god or a deity to have a religion or to have a belief in something. Communism is the belief in the government as your savior, as your church, as your thing. During the USSR, during the communist era, they stomped out all religions. It was atheist, which is a religion in itself. Islam, identical. They just changed the name of the religion. They call it Allah. And that's the government. Allah is the government. Allah makes the rules for the government. Communism makes the rules for the government, makes the rules for the people. The people have to follow and live by strict rules and regulations, and everything's owned by Allah. Everything's owned by communism. So communism and communism and Islam, very, very similar government situations. Democrats will go to socialism and jump on the bus of socialism to get you to that end. Okay? So this is what we're talking about now. We're going to talk about Venezuela. Venezuela, 20 years ago, just like Detroit, Michigan, back in the 70s. Booming, bustling, just the shining city of gold for the world to see. Capitalism on display. Literally, capitalism on display. The richest, might have even been the richest single city in such a small square, foot of area in the world. Probably pretty darn close, if not that. And at that time, probably was. Union bosses, Democrats, literally raping and pillaging the banks, crooked, wrong-headed, angry, hateful, just destroyed it. Just absolutely destroyed Detroit City. Ford left, Chevy left, Chrysler left, everybody's gone. There's nothing there. At one point in time here recently, the local city officials were offering local residents, if you owned your home or, had a mortgage, had your own home, and the houses directly next to you and adjacent to you were empty, you could buy them for $1. You're like, yay, that's awesome. No. See, the thing is, you wouldn't want them. They were that bad. Usually crack houses. And media doesn't want to tell you about this. At one time, residents were going around and painting houses, whole houses, painting them. I don't know if it's fluorescent yellow or red. They're painting a real bright colors. Neighbors were of houses that were empty and being used as crack houses, so that the government, the local officials, the police department would know, the citizens painted that front door, painted that. Yeah, okay, that's a crack house. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you giving us the heads up. Yeah, that's Detroit. Great job there, Democrats. Damn liberals. I get so frustrated when I see these liberals. They're so wrong-headed. Anyway, so in Venezuela, complete collapse, decimated. Banks run on the banks, run on ATMs. The banks don't have the money. ATMs don't have the money. Last Friday, the former union bus driver, who now is president and dictator, said that their $100 or 100 Bolivia was going to be illegal and would be replaced with 1,000 or 10,000 or 1,000,000 or whatever. It's his notion to curb inflation of sorts, or to get ahead of the game. Yeah, just print more money and put another zero on that bill. That's how that works. Just add another zero to it. So the bus driver obviously didn't take an economics class, but now he's president and dictator. Great. So he put a federal ban that this 100 note, was going to be illegal, and you must go to the bank and trade it in. Problem is, none of the banks had any money to trade that in for anything. They had none of the new notes, none of the new bills, nothing. People wanted to take money out of the bank, couldn't. ATMs were shut down, banks were shut down, wasn't happening. So what do? Cause chaos, wreak havoc. That's what's going on. The marketplaces are destroyed. The people are looting and just it is complete. It's chaos. It's utter chaos. There's all kinds of videos on YouTube. Just Google, just YouTube Venezuela. You will. It's so much and it's so often. And this is the thing. Technology is exposing the Democrats for who they are, exposing the liberals for who they are, their lies, their thieves, everything they've done. It's being exposed on the internet because of technology. God bless technology. Let's take care of it. Let's hold on to it. Let's make it right. We can't lose it. We really can't. Can't let these people take advantage of the internet and regulate it. We're almost out of time, running out of time. Here's Judge Janine on Michelle Obama. God bless Michelle Obama. Met with Oprah.
Really? This from a woman who in 2008, at 44 years old, said for the first time in her life she was proud of her country when her husband was running for president. And now, 8 years later, you're out of hope, Michelle? You've lived a life few can even imagine. At the citadel of power and prestige in the world, you and your husband, blessed by God and the American people, with the unique and historic opportunity to not only lead America from that shining place on a hill, but impact Americans and give them hope that virtually no others can. And now that you're leaving, hope is gone? Since when does hope rise and fall with you and Barack in the White House? But it doesn't end there. When asked if your husband's administration achieved his promise of hope to Americans, your answer, a resounding yes. Quote, especially in times of crisis and turmoil. Are you kidding? Did your husband give hope to the parents of James Foley or Stephen Sotloff, who was in custody for over a year while his family was told they could not negotiate because they'd be prosecuted before their sons' heads were chopped off? To try to convince America that once you and Barack exit the White House, hope is removed for America is an outrage. And I'll tell you what else is an outrage. An outrage is when your husband struts up to the microphone at a national prayer breakfast and tells Christians to get off their high horses because the Christians are afraid of Muslim terrorists cutting their heads off. And I'd say that that was a crisis, but no hope there. ISIS today only looms larger. And by the way, Michelle, have you heard of San Bernardino, Orlando, or that workplace violence that happened at...
Yeah, absolutely. She's absolutely 100% correct. Here's Lou Dobbs on the destruction that the Democrats are dealing with right now.
The Democratic leadership and their candidate lied, cheated, and tried to steal political office and power. And why not? President Obama has governed outside the law for the past 8 years. They thought they could just continue doing the same. But now the left has become a gang of outlaws, trying to wrest power from the presidency of Donald Trump and doing all they can to subvert the will of the people. The fact is, during Mr. Obama's presidency, Democrats lost 63 House seats. They lost 10 Senate seats. The Republican Party controls now both houses of Congress, and we will have Donald Trump in the White House. Republicans have also gained more than 900 seats in state legislatures and 12 governorships. 2/3 of the nation's governors are now Republican. The Democratic Party, the left in this country, have not been so weak, so isolated, so diminished in nearly a full century. The left has been reduced to irrelevancy, and their candidates, whether failed but cheated presidential aspirant Bernie Sanders or DNC chair hopeful Congressman Keith Ellison, they all seem to represent a Democratic Party that has moved farther and farther and farther to the left and farther from any fashion of winning political power.
And that sounds great to me. Absolutely, folks. Listen to us every single day. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter, YouTube. We are all over the place for you. This is the fastest hour you're going to find anywhere. Just laying it out like it is. Have a good day, folks. See you tomorrow.
With unfathomable power.
What kind of power?
Unfathomable. It's without fathom.